Welcome back to the Writer's Workshop, where we give you the tools to unleash your creativity and flourish. I am Lady V.
I'm Alice Brown.
Today we have a fun little video on picking your POV for your books. Now, granted, this is not necessarily going over, which person do you pick to be the main character. This is actually more of picking a first-person versus third-person narrative for your book. And I want to go ahead and state, before we get into any of this, that picking a first or third-person narrative is 99% your comfortable writing structure. So, let's get started and see if we can help you find your perfect writing structure.
So let's go over the first versus third for anybody who might not know. Your first person point of view is when you list that person and you speak as if you're talking from that person's voice. I did this, I did that. You label the chapter John or whatever, whoever you're talking about.
I used to call it the diary narrative.
Yeah.
Before I knew it was actually called first person.
Yeah. Because you will notice everything is I did this, I did that. It comes from that person. You're literally putting yourself into that person to write their point of view. Third person is when you're generally looking in from the outside.
The he said, she said type.
They said, they did this, he said this, she said that sort of thing. Now, what is the difference and which way should you go? That's what we're here to try to help you today.
If you are writing more of nonfiction or biographies, stuff like that, I would say that first person is 90% of the time going to be the go-to narrative, as that tends to be what is most common in nonfiction and biographies. With any decision that you make on trying to figure out a structure or writing narrative, whatever have you, the best thing to do is take a day, go to the library or your closest bookstore, and look at the genre that you're writing in and pick up numerous books, take notes, figure out what kind of structure they're going with, what type of narrative they're using, see what's common.
And I will add on that go through the books that are popular for today.
Yes.
Because what was popular 10 years ago is not popular today. What was popular 2 years ago isn't even popular today.
That would almost be like trying to compare Twilight with Fourth Wing.
Yeah, exactly.
Over 10 years, I think it's actually closer to 20 years at this point, difference.
Mm-hmm. It's been a long time and a lot has changed.
If you are wanting to tell the story from more than 3 characters' point of views, first person probably is not going to be the one you want to choose. Once you start getting above 3 characters and 3 points of views, it becomes very difficult for the reader to keep up with deciphering who's who and who's narrating this section of the story. I know you read one not too long ago,
yes.
And it was all in the I form or first person, and it had numerous people. It was a werewolf pack.
Yes, it was a werewolf pack. She did a wonderful job of world building. Just phenomenal world building. I loved it. But doing the first person and having multiple people got very confusing, because I would pick up the book and I'd start seeing I this, I that, and I would literally have to go back to the beginning of the chapter and go, who am I reading? Is this John, or is this Sally, or is this Kevin, or is this Mary? Who is I? It gets confusing. Even late at night, I ran into problems because I was starting to get tired.
You'd forget
remembering who it was. So take that in mind. The other thing is, most of the time, first person versus third person is a personal choice. Those of us that write in third person, most of the time don't do a very good job in first person. And those that write in first person tend not to do a very good job writing third person. So try both styles out and see what fits you personally.
If you're wanting to give a voice to more than just your 2 main characters, add in a few side characters, third person is going to be a lot easier for you to do this with. You can easily tie in a few of their emotions, their expressions, and such, even their history and backstory in with your main character by using third person. I personally prefer third person writing because when I write my books, when I write my stories and develop my characters, I feel like there's a piece of each of them inside me. And so I want to give everybody their own voice. And doing that with first person just did not sit well with me. I tried it. When I originally started writing, I tried first person. It just, once I got to like the third and fourth character, I was like, yeah, this is not working. We're going to third.
Well, another thing that I would want to go over is don't base your decision on what's popular because it's going to change. Trust me.
Absolutely not.
Just a few months ago, a author that I follow very heavily, I love her work, but she'd put in her newsletter that she had noticed a lot of the romance genre going more towards first person, at least with the younger crowd. And
that is true.
And she was like, I have always written third person. I cannot write first person. I have tried it. It ends in a disaster. What am I going to do? My suggestion is continue writing third because this won't last. Things will change. And your older crowd, if they're used to reading in third person, they're not going to want to switch too much to first person. Most of your readers are stuck one way or the other and they don't want to switch.
A hard do not do is do not switch your POV narrative mid-series.
No.
That is a hard no-no. You do not want to do that. But like Alice said, and as we have said in many of our previous videos, do not make a decision when writing your book based off of the trends of today.
They change too much.
Yes, you can pull certain things from watching the trends of today, certain little, side pieces that you want to just tuck into your story. That's okay. But to make a decision of, oh, I'm gonna write a first-person orc romance because that's what's trending right now, by the time you write your book and get it published, it may not be trending, and it's not really worth it at that point. Don't push yourself outside of your comfort zone just to appease others. Your comfort zone is what's going to sell your books, because the readers will then know that you are comfortable writing what you wrote.
And that book will end up being better. I can remember years ago when we were with a small publisher and the whole motorcycle gang thing came out, and it was very hot and heavy for a while. That and rock and roll, your rock bands and stuff like that. Both of them pretty much came out very close together.
Your rock and roll did just try to make a comeback. It did not last very long.
But anyway, I can remember the publisher saying to me, you need to write this. You need to change, stop writing paranormal. And I'm like, I'm not comfortable with that. That's not the life I live. It's not what I've researched. That's not it's just not me at all. And so I'm like, no, I won't. And she's like, but there's so much money in it. There won't be if you're not comfortable with it, because it will show in your writing.
Well, there was another author with us publishing with that publishing house. As she wrote sci-fi romance. And I remember the publisher had pretty much the exact same conversation with her. It was not over the same genres, but it wanted her to leave writing her sci-fi romance. She was phenomenal at it. I mean, she wrote some good books.
She did.
And she openly said, I'm not comfortable writing other genres. This is where I'm comfortable at. This is the genre I'm sticking with. If you don't like it, I will leave and I'll go to a different publisher. She never did stop writing sci-fi romance, and I'm proud of her for standing up for herself, because she really did turn out to be a phenomenal writer.
Yeah, the other thing they tried doing is saying, stop your series at I want to say, it's either 6 or 8.
6 or 8 books, yeah.
Yeah, don't go past that. And she was well into the teens at this point. And she's like, no, my readers love what they read. They come back, they're begging for more. Why in the world am I going to stop?
Well, I would say stop where your story stops.
Yes.
If you only plan 8 books in your series, don't force yourself to write 14. That's not going to work. However, if you get to book 3 and you're like, there's no way I can continue to book 6, okay, book 3 or 4 is where you need to end it.
Stop it and go to something else that you're comfortable with and you're passionate about.
There's been numerous authors out there that I've seen. Lindsay Sands is one of them with her Arugonal series.
Yes, and it is, well in the 20s at this point.
The first 10 books are phenomenal. After that, they're what I call cookie cutters, because it's the same story, different day. Different characters, different day. Same exact storyline. And it's a term I use when I start seeing that in series, and it's pretty much just a repetitive. There's nothing new to the series. There's no extra character development, no extra world building. There's no intrigue left. It just keeps dragging on and on and on.
Yeah, different different day.
Same story.
Same story, yeah.
Just remember that writing a POV is by personal choice. My personal advice to you is to take time, if you have kind of a basis for your story of what you know you want to write, and write it into different narratives. Try it with the first person POV and the third person POV and see which one fits you and that story best. That's going to help you figure out which way your flow goes.
You want to go, yeah. Bottom line, write what you're comfortable with.
Absolutely. Do not write for trends, and write what you're comfortable with. That's going to do it for us today. Thank you for joining us, and as always, don't stop learning and never stop dreaming.